Yo, Willow Super. Yeah, don't worry about it, buddy. We have a lot to discuss today. All of us have a lot to discuss. Wish I had announced this ahead of time, would have played through the game myself. I'm sure you will. Don't worry about it. Also, hello, pigs. And don't worry, I'm just going to do for fun a little my own theory and stuff. And yes, I'm also going to discuss on who is actually the Rory Knight. It's a maybe. Alrighty, everyone. Papyrus 100%. I am 100 convinced it is actually Papyrus. And I can prove it. I can prove it. Alright? Let me search up some Dletarune OST for the vibe. Let's see, let's play the album. No, not this one, just yeah, Dletarune full OST. Alrighty. Welcome, Gooners, to tonight's discussion for Dletarune theories. Okay, let me make myself bigger here. Yes, tonight, we are in our professional suit because it is a very important discussion. We have to be dressed professionally for this. Alright? You should add Toy Fox with this when we're done with the stream, by the way. Imagine he blocks me. Just going like, you're so fucking wrong. Blocked. It would actually be very hilarious. Alright. And yes, we're going for... Oh wait, let me change the... Let me go for battle themes instead. Alrighty. I thought you were about to pull Black Knife and say it's possible to hear Bone Trestle in it. I mean, I don't think I can do that bad though. Alright. So, what exactly is my theory for Papyrus being the knight exactly? We'll get to that. We'll get to that soon enough. Okay? Okay, so I know most people for now already do believe that basically Dez is the knight. Mostly because oh, she's missing, she's trapped somewhere, probably in the bunker, and she's in Dark World. But not just any Dark World, right? Apparently she's somewhere darker than dark, right? How about you do we put that into perspective at least? Let's say a Dark World is only about this dark. You see that little gray here? Wait, let me see. Let's put this little gray here. Let's say this is just a regular Dark World, alright? Whenever we go to a regular Dark World where Ralsei is, where he's actually able to actually live, or at least where most Darkners can actually live. Now let's set it a little darker then. Let's say we reach to a part in here. Let's say we go up to this part of dark. On this part of dark. I believe in this, the second dark. It's where the Roaring Knight actually was able to summon another dark world inside of a dark world. And also be able to summon the Titan. Alright? Hello, Asgore! Do you fill up on gas? Good. Now, second one, second dark world, or second dark black, or a second dark gray here. You're able to summon Titans. Let's say that. Let's say at least that's to a point where you can actually summon Titans. Now let's say if we go even darker. Completely dark. Now this is where we theorize that this is where either Des or Gaster even. Let's put I don't know much about Gaster. But I'm convinced Des is somewhere in that darker than dark. You have a theory? What's your theory, Asgore? Tell me. Anyone can share your ideas as well. You all can also share your ideas. You're all free to do so. You're also free to criticize my theory as well. And to see if there's any stuff that I might be missing, or stuff that might be contradictory from me. Alright? There's no problem with that. We're all here to discuss and have fun with it. If it's dark, it's okay. If it's darker, a dark world is created. If it's yet darker, it spawns a Titan. Okay, yeah. I get it. Okay, let's say that... No, wait. Not that kind. Brush. Let's say this is our world. Our world of dark. This one right here. And then it comes the dark world. Then to a point where you can summon Titans. And then complete utter darkness. Basically void darkness. Completely darker than dark. I think Ralsei is the son of one of the other of the four kings, specifically clubs, because he's associated with the same shade of green as the king of clubs in the cage outside the card castle. Wait. Son of the four kings? There's different kings? I've never heard of this. What the fuck? And Ralsei acts like Lancer is an old pal, cousin. True. But there has to be a reason why. There were there, but they were locked up by spades. Oh, I see. I mean, I guess that's true that they do act like pals. But remember that I don't think necessarily that they're like cousins. But remember that also Ralsei represents something. Ralsei represents something in the light world that Chris holds on to, probably. And Chris often goes to school, so it's no surprise that probably Ralsei knows Lancer already. Especially since Lancer is located at school, and whatever Chris has that he holds on to represents Ralsei. So no wonder he would actually be able to know him. But that's a good theory, Asgore. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Like, I didn't know anything about the Kings thing. I didn't know anything about that. But anyway. I do have a specific theory on why Carol on how Carol knows about not only the Dark Worlds, but she also knows about us. And also Osgore, and maybe Undyne as well. Because Undyne has part of her has a responsibility to have hold on to the code for the bunker, which Asgore used to have. So I believe Carol, this massive bitch here. Let's say this is Carol. Alright, let's say this is Carol right here. Let's say this is Carol, alright? I'm sure she not only knows about Dark Worlds already, she also knows about us. We already know this. She knows us. As not just the soul, us, the player. She already specifies it in the chapter 4, where she says, and especially you are also welcome here. And that you is labeled in red, meaning obviously us. It's not necessarily Chris. So, there's also another thing of why people specify on why she's the Roaring Knight. Specifically because she has a katana as well in her bedroom, but also there's another one in the kitchen of her house. And there's also because she would actually have the easy codes, which obviously we all speculate that is 1225, because Christmas time it was a time when everyone was actually reunited and all together, right? Yeah, easy. And now then there's also Rudy. Our sicko hospitalized Rudy. The only difference about well, not necessarily specifically, but he probably does know about us, but not as much as Carol. But there is a possibility that he is also the knight. But I do believe, as much as of a troll that I might sound, I do believe in some part that Papyrus is also the Roaring Knight. Maybe. Alright? But let's go for Rudy. Let's go for Rudy. Firstly, the Roaring Knight laughs, and is also very smug about especially when Susie's chasing the Roaring Knight. Pretty smug. So always laughing and joking around, right? And then there's also that he is sick. It's basically sick. It's a cross, by the way. Yo, Roderick! What's up? Okay, so Rudy's sick. And maybe in the Dark World, he actually can do a lot more. But in reality, he's just way too weak, way too sick to do almost anything. He even struggles to get to the church, or even back home. The other problem also about that I forgot about Carol is that she is not strong enough. These are weights. She is not strong enough to be carrying Undyne into the bunker. She is not. Let's be honest. Carol, she's probably what? 40s or 50s maybe? Do you guys actually think a 40s or 50s old lady is gonna take on a late 20s or early 30s cop that can lift cars? No, of course not. And then there's also Rudy. Rudy's fucking weaker. Even weaker. Even weaker than Carol even. He's sick. And there's also another theory that or speculation that I've heard. I think it was from Wistale. I think that's the guy's name. I don't think it was Wiz, but someone, I remember in a video, that they gave a little idea on Rudy, also on an idea of Rudy being the knight. And is that on the fight with the Roaring Knight, or on the Roaring Knight in chapter 3, when you're about to when you're about to fight the Roaring Knight, he does a big roar and his rib cage opens and he has like an eye in the center. And he gives the idea of that maybe that eye there, it represents something. Maybe it's a tumor or something else inside the knight that is affecting them. And so, since Rudy is sick, maybe this something inside him is actually making him weak, making him sick. Besides, we know elderly monsters produce near no determination, seen in Rudy who might be falling down, so she would struggle with opening fountains or make it impossible maybe. Oh. Undyne is nice to hot women though. I mean, she only likes people that she's actually friends with, mostly. But yeah. Whatever Rudy has that is making him sick can also be the idea on what the Roaring Knight has inside his chest. That makes it impossible for him to do a lot of basic things like walking to church. That it drains a lot of energy for him. Alright, now let's go into the meme quote-unquote territory. The one and only Papyrus. Our boy. Our goat. Now, what proof do we have that Papyrus might be the Roaring Knight? First off, the first proof is he hasn't been introduced. But we do know he's in the game, or at least in the story. Sans mentions him. Sans mentions that he is actually there, he's in the house. But at the same time, whenever we go into the house, we hear nothing. The chart of the black knife we get doesn't change in the light world. Maybe that's also the same for the knight. As long as it's dark, they can move freely in the light world. Yeah, but when you get out of the dark world, immediately Chris and Susie are back to normal. They just immediately are back to normal. So how can this be any different for the knight? If they get out of the dark world, they'll go back to normal. I think the knight's a sentinel for Carol, someone working under her thumb to watch Chris remotely. This is where I think things get interesting. Alright? Not only Papyrus is not introduced. Let me just continue. Papyrus is the only character that we know in all of Undertale that is one of the few that can actually keep up with Undyne. In Undertale, Undyne describes Papyrus as being very, very tough. Actually very tough to fight. But he's too nice and innocent. So in other case, he's a gentle giant. But he has potential. He's just held back. So Papyrus is probably one of the only few that can actually carry Undyne and maybe get her unconscious, maybe, and just get her out of the dark world and run towards the bunker. And we also know Papyrus is fucking fast. I don't think the knight is someone from the town at this point. I think it's someone else, to be honest. I mean, it has to be someone from town, but because I mean, would you rather have the knight to be someone that we of a character that we just don't know anything about, or someone that we already know as a surprise. Like say, oh my god, it was them the entire time, and we didn't even suspect it. Not someone, something. I mean, if it's a thing, then what was Susie looking? What does Susie see moving? That's another thing. She did see someone. Susie saw someone. So it must be someone standing up and also running. Also holding Undying at the same time. So it has to be someone instead of a thing. I believe it has to be a thing. I mean, it has to be someone. Okay, so Papyrus is the only other person that is strong enough to probably carry Undying and also run towards the bunker. We know Papyrus is very freaking fast, because back in Undertale, when we were at the Skeleton Brothers' house, and we were hanging out with Papyrus, every time we were changing rooms, he will really freaking quickly run up to the room that you were entering. And if you went back, boom, 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 just back and forth. And to him, it was just light exercise. It was like nothing. So not only that, he is also pretty fast. That's our legs. Oh yeah, wait, I'm freaking blocking this part. Shit. Making a movie. Make this longer here, so we can have more space. Oh my god! All right. No TTS is joke. Ah, I forgot to turn it on. Wait, I forgot to turn it on. I forgot to turn my shit on. Let me open it up. It'll be quick. I'm sorry, Super. And not shrink yourself. I'll turn smaller. Now the mic is now the mic is fucking huge. There's a book in chapter 4 in the egg room that says that something that looked like glass emerged from a lake or something. I believe the book is about the night. Something that looked like glass emerged from a lake. That seems pretty odd. I won't dismiss it though. My personal theory is that Gaster still died. How he died in Undertale, and chunks of him scattered into the dark fountains, becoming various Sani or robotic characters we meet. This is why I think the night is something that was spawned at some point. True. I mean, he could be something that was summoned. But I think the problem is that Susie saw someone. And it just wasn't really like a thing, so to speak. I still won't dismiss it though. Okay. So Papyrus. What else for Papyrus? Damn it! I'm forgetting. What else was for Papyrus? Okay, he hasn't been shown. He's super strong, super fast. Ah, he is someone also willing to follow orders. Let's give him my police hat. someone to willing to follow orders as well. At least back in Undertale, he was following orders. He wanted to be part of the royal guard. Didn't you say he's doing Sans' dirty work? Not necessarily that he's doing Sans' dirty work, but okay, this is part of my theory of what is actually happening in Deltarune. Let me explain myself even further. All right. So firstly, what happened was, at some point, the plot of Dletarune starts off when poor Des goes missing. Yeah, I'm making her to freaking emo. Poor dear old Des goes missing, and from there, I believe Dletarune the plot starts. Where did she go missing? We still don't know. She's probably in the bunker, maybe in the dark world inside the bunker, somewhere darker than dark. And so, since our police officer, dear Asgore, or dear Father Goat, Asgore, who was the police chief, was willing to do everything in his power to go and find her. But, of course, there was no luck. And so, or he might have actually had a clue on where Des was. Asgore was police chief. Why is he a housemaid? I tried drawing a police cap. Oh, okay. So he was trying to find her. There was a lot of leads and stuff. He went going crazy over it, and he probably found clues. But because too much time has already passed, Carol was growing a little too desperate. Let me also draw... Let me draw Carol with longer hair. So basically, Carol was growing too desperate. She wanted to find her daughter as soon as possible. And so, since she did... Most likely, Asgore did find out about a dark world, but he wasn't so sure about it. Carol, being the good mother that she is, she decided she went desperate, and she wanted to go into the dark worlds, but she didn't know what to do because the dark world was something new that people didn't know about yet, or almost no one knew about yet. And so, what does she do? Since Asgore, here, our good old goat dad, since he wasn't sure about the dark world, and he insisted not to go there because it could be dangerous, Carol decided, you know what, you're fired because you're not willing to actually find my daughter. Well, actually ask someone else to go. Fired. And so then he recruited Undyne, or she recruited Undyne. And so, since they didn't know anything about the Dark Worlds or what was behind them, what did she start doing? Or what did they start doing? Recruit someone that can study them. And who is someone else who is a scientist? It's not Alphys. It's not Alphys. Who else is a scientist in Undertale series? Or Deltarune series? Probably. But mostly also in Undertale. Sans. Sans is a scientist. We know this. We know this. Why? Because in Undertale, Sans in his joke books, he also has a quantum physics book that he also reads. And also, behind Sans's house, back in Undertale, he has some sort of machine that is just basically locked away. So he basically must know something. But in Dletarune, he's just a full-blown scientist. But Carol wants to keep it a secret. She doesn't want people to freak out about dark worlds, about another world, but in basically another dimension in this very dark dimension or something. So she recruits the Skeleton Brothers, both Sans and Papyrus. But of course, Sans is compared to Papyrus, he's very lazy, obviously. And Papyrus is just willing to do anything for his dear little brother and do some work as well. Basically the only one who's tough, fast, and willing to follow orders. And so, Carol orders Sans, or recruits Sans and Papyrus, to not only study, but also explore the Dark Worlds. It's too bad we murdered Sans in the street after he danced with our mom. But what does this also mean? Since Carol also not only did she recruit Sans and Papyrus then in order to explore and study the Dark Worlds, Chris is also involved in this somehow. He's always stopping us at every moment possible. So maybe something did happen between Chris and Des back at the bunker or in a dark world that maybe he knows as well. And so he decides to join up with Papyrus along to explore the dark worlds. But also, where did the soul come from? That's another thing. Where exactly did the soul come from? Simple. Sans with a machine in the bunker. Let's be honest. There is most likely some sort of machine in the bunker in a dark world that is able to summon us, the soul. Because in the intro, we are somewhere dark, darker than dark. We most likely are in a dark world in the very start of chapter 1, when we're making our own character. And yes, it does sound like Gaster is speaking to us, but at some point, I believe that Carol also was talking at the end, saying that we have no control. Because she was hoping that Chris would actually take control of us. But nope. We are having control of Chris. We end up taking control of Chris, and Chris, the reason why he tries to stop us a lot of times is obviously because he doesn't know our intentions. The background is also the same as a fountain, by the way. The background is also the same as a fountain. Wait, what do you mean, the background? But anyway, reason why Chris stops us is because he doesn't know our intentions. As long as we're not hurting the music gonna keep up. Okay, as long as we're not doing any harm to the people or the people that Chris cares about, he's not gonna hurt us. Alright? Sure, he smacked us with a freaking hockey stick, but that was to just kinda stun us or something. But let's remember, in the weird route, when we start manipulating Noelle, Chris goes ballistic. He throws us into a trash bin and then beats us the shit out of. Like literally just freaking dunk us into the bin and starts kicking the bin over and over and over again until the bin is just crushed completely. Obviously this doesn't hurt us at all, it only hurts him. So he's basically hurting himself. But anyway, as long as we're not doing anything wrong towards anyone, Chris is gonna be like, I have my eye on you still. But if we actually touch someone, then he's probably gonna go ballistic again. So most likely in chapter 5, if we are about to do something drastic and continue the weird route, most likely Chris is going to do something drastic in the weird route. Alright. So, where did the soul come from? As I said again, most likely came from the bunker, where Sans was working on that machine, because he's the only scientist for now that we know of. Alphys is just a middle school, high school teacher in this spin-off. So most likely she doesn't have the knowledge that she used to have in Undertale. She literally was the head scientist in Undertale, where she managed and maintained the core at all times in the underground. So Sans is probably the only other person that is probably the smartest here. And also most likely Sans in this spin-off is not as powerful. He probably is not as powerful. Most likely. But by Papyrus most likely hasn't changed. Now, not only does the Roaring Knight kinda has a little semblance to Papyrus. Let me pull up some images. Or yeah, let me pull up some images for Papyrus real quick. Right. Here's our boy Papyrus. And here's our goat, the Aura Farmer. Right here. Now, is there or is there not something similar to them? Not only do they have that big smile on their face, not only the singular little vertebrae, very thin waist vertebrae, and also the hips, also very thin. It also probably is wearing boots, and hello, holes in the hands. It's probably more related to Gaster, but Gaster was a skeleton as well, most likely. And who else is a skeleton? Papyrus and Sans. And also the armor. Wide as armor. Upper armor. Now I know what some people are going to say. Oh! The horns! But the horns! What about the horns? It looks like a deer. My dear viewer, what did the knights in Undertale have? Horns? Horns and wings? Even more horns? What about Undyne? Undyne armor. A singular horn on top. Do you get what I mean at this point? You get what I mean at this point. The most likely, this is just a helmet, and the horns are part of the helmet. And once the helmet just takes off, or the Roaring Knight takes off its helmet, it's already just gonna be Papyrus. Look at this. Ribcaged, open. Nothing else can just open their ribcage unless they're actually, obviously, a skeleton. A wide mouth. Who else has a wide mouth? Papyrus does. And who else is fucking massively tall? Papyruses. You wanna know how tall is Papyrus? I think Papyrus is like 6, 8, or 7 feet tall. Height cannon. Papyrus's height is often headcanon to be around 6, 8, or 7, 4. Roaring Night. Height. Who else is closer? No, wait. This is an unveil. No, wait. This is an unveil. Dletarune height. 5'9"? Nah, come on. It's not 5'9". Unless Papyrus is does not wear the boots. Look at those boots. That must give him some serious actual height. I stand by my case. Wait. Alright, let's go back to our drawing board. In any case. Oh no, wait. Wait a minute. Oh fuck, my pen. Okay, wait a minute. Chris Dletarune height. Huh? Chris is a midget? Ain't no way. Chris is not a... Bro. Are these like actual official heights? This cannot actually be serious. Chris is not... bro. Chris is not 5'1". Oh wait, and fan-made height charts. Okay. His fan-made. Okay, fine. Let's go with a tutorial then. Height. Canon. 49 pixels tall, or her height translates to 8 feet and 2 inches tall, or 2.49 meters. Okay. So now we know that Goat Mom is at least... No, she can't be 8 feet tall. That seems pretty wrong. What about Asgore? That's a good way. Okay. Asgore is in Undertale. Asgore is not specifically stated, but it is generally estimated to be around 10 feet tall. That is terrifying. Okay, so average human 5'9", and Asgore here is in the representation here. Oh wait, I don't have the thing here. Okay, so apparently Asgore is not specifically stated, but he's probably 10 feet tall. And Chris, okay, including this. I see the drawings as a okay, wait, why is it not showing the... Here we go. Okay. Alright. Asgore is at least 9'10". At least 9'10". If that's the tip, from the off the way to the horns. Let's say a horn is at least a foot. So that means around here is 8. Around here is 7. No. Okay, half a foot. No, those have to actually... Those horns need to be longer. They're huge. Super huge. Yeah, they're at least like 2 feet. Alright, 2 feet. 710. 710 right here. 610. 710. 610. So then Chris would be around 6'5". Maybe 6'5". Let's see Chris next to Roaring Knight. My brother in Christ. That is a tall ass being. He's basically, I mean, they're basically touching the floor here. If the Roaring Knight was actually standing, let's say this is 6'5". Let's go a foot at least. 7'5", 8'5", 9'5", or at least 8. No wait, 6'5". Around here is 6'5". Let's say this is at least 6'5", up to the crotch. God, Chris and Roy Knight have the Link and Ganon height, honestly. Say it's 7'5" and 8'5". Bro, the knight is literally 2 feet taller, most likely, than Chris. He's a tall fucker. At least 8 feet, I put it. Chris cannot just be, he cannot be that short. He cannot be 5 foot tall. Chris, that's completely papyrus. That's 100% papyrus, dude. That's what I'm saying. That can't be real. That's fucking hilarious. Alright. Going back to the drawing board. Alright. Alright, anyway. Okay, so let's go back to where we were. Yeah, the soul. Okay, so Carol knows us. Carol knows we're there. Oh yeah. There's something else. Remember in chapter 1, that the first time we see Sans, we actually talk to him, and there's an option that says, "It's great to see you again." Now I know what you're thinking. Oh, that's probably Toby Fox, just adding a little gimmick there, as to say for the player, for the player to say, "Oh, it's good to see you again, Sans." Slow down. But what if Chris also already just knows Sans, and Sans is just trying to play cool, as in like, hey, we're not supposed to be knowing each other here. We're undercover, remember? Which is why he says, yeah, it's good to see you again too, except we've never seen each other before. He's trying to play it cool. Hey Anna, is the refrigerator running? Yes. He's running and I better catch him. Anyways. Let me cook real quick, alright? So most likely, Sans also knows about us. Probably. Let me increase a little bit the thing here. Okay. Okay, so what we have for now is that Des went missing, probably is in the bunker in a dark world, and she's probably trapped there. And we know this because there's a dialogue in the code, the game, where there's a dialogue where it says someone is trying to escape the dark, or at least stuck in themselves in the dark. And so, we take note of this, or at least the people in the town take a note of this. And so Asgore starts investigating. He goes to the bunker, he discovers a dark world, but he advises and to not go into the dark world because it could be dangerous. Although he does have a feeling that Des is inside a dark world in there, but he advises not to go there yet because it's too dangerous. But Carol, being a mother, she's desperate and she wants her daughter back already, so she fires Asgore instead, and starts working in secret in order to study and go into the dark world. So what does she do? She goes and recruits scientists and someone with muscle to actually go into the dark world for her. And so what she does? She recruits Sans and Papyrus. Sans, being the scientist, we already know because he has a quantum physics book in Undertale. He's actually a pretty smart guy, but he's fucking lazy. So what did the Skeleton brothers do? Okay, let's just go with Papyrus. Papyrus is very tough. He's not only strong, he is also very fast. And he can just do all the dirty work, and he's also very loyal, especially to his brother. And he also takes orders. Which we also know this in Undertale. He takes orders, since he's part of the, or he wants to be part of the Royal Guard by just doing that. Okay, so we are the part where Asgore got fired just so Carol can go freely into the dark world, the dark world, without raising suspicions or alertness to the town that, oh, there's a different world out there, in a very dark void that emerges from the ground. And she's probably trying to obviously not cause any panic in there. And so, since most likely Chris was involved here as well, and this is disappearance, they probably went to explore into the bunker, and maybe they found some stuff that they should have not found, and they played there a bit, and boom, Des went missing. She's in the dark world, but Chris managed to escape. And since Chris also feels responsible for it, he asks Carol to do also some dirty work, maybe. I mean, come on. Chris can throw a hockey accurately at us and knock us down. He can also throw a freaking bottle or glass cup accurately. Do you actually not think that Chris is capable? He must be capable of something, because how else will he be able to do all of these things? Alright, so. Oh yeah. And I think there's also part of another speculation as well. Because it also raises another question. If Chris has us, then where is actually his actual soul then? Where's his actual soul then? Well, there is a speculation that the fountain behind Ralsei's castle is where Chris's soul is. Meaning that the fountain over there is powered up by a human soul, meaning Chris's soul. But at the same time, it kinda makes sense, but at the same time it doesn't. It's a speculation that someone also has said obviously as a theory, but at the same time is a little bit contradictory there, because obviously the soul is capable of eliminating these dark fountains. But also at the same time, with enough determination, you can create a fountain or a dark world to emerge from the ground. So maybe on that sense, if the soul is just filled with a certain determination, then it can actually continue just powering up the dark fountain, or can make the dark world continue to exist. Also, wait, is the stream fine? It looks like it's lagging. Yeah, I think it's lagging. How do you guys how's the stream for you guys? Is it like smooth or it isn't? At least from YouTube's part, saying that there's not enough video, though Twitch saying it's fine. I like your calming voice, funny woman. Hey, Lieutenant, is the stream fine? Like, there's no lag, right? If there is any, just let me know so I can maybe reset it. Or anyone, actually. Just let me know. I'm lagging a little bit. Oh, fuck, yeah. I'm lagging a lot. Damn. Now, of all times? Bro. Now of all times is lagging. Man. And I was actually getting a little hyped there. Okay, wait, let me see how it is. Just when you enjoy something, someone else always has to humble you. Yeah, exactly. My ISP is humbling me, saying, nope, no fun for you. Rabbit Toy Fox called someone from my ISP and said, shut this person's theory up, they're up to something. Okay, let's continue, at least. Let's try to continue. At least. Okay, so. Okay, so then. There's a speculation that in the school dark fountain is powered up by a specific soul, or somehow it's made by, or either someone made it or it's powered up by something. I think it was just simply made by someone with enough determination. It could be could have been Chris, maybe it could have been, or maybe it could have been someone else. But then there's also the dark world or dark fountain in the bunker. Maybe that is... I believe that is most likely where Chris's soul is. In the bunker. In that Dark World bunker. Because... let's be honest. Let's be honest. Chris already knows the passcode to the bunker. He entered there in chapter 3. You just put the code in, entered, the game ends, and we just don't know anything else about after that. So I believe most likely Chris's soul is inside this actual fountain here. In the bunker. Not in the school one. And the school one could have been made by the Roaring Knight themselves. Maybe. I mean, we already know the Roaring Knight is capable of making dark fountains. He did make one. Inside of another dark fountain in chapter 4. And that's how he actually summoned the Titan. Now then, here's the thing. Also. We both know also that the Roaring Knight and Chris are somehow working together. They both literally are. In chapter 3, Chris signals the Roaring Knight, or gives him a little signal on when to actually end the fight after you just survive for so long without doing any damage. Or without taking any damage. If you survive for too long, Chris would just signal the Roaring Knight, just going like, just do it, just end it. And the Roaring Knight just one-shots you. And ends the fight very quickly. Except Chris. For Chris, just puts a sword on Chris's shoulder and lowers him down slowly. No damage. Only towards Susie. Which is weird. And then there's also, on chapter 4, when Chris is running up to or climbing up to the knight, or getting very close to the knight, he actually reaches there. But Chris does nothing. And Susie questions like, "Come on now, Chris, attack him!" And then Chris just stays there. Does nothing. And then the knight just pushes Chris away. Now I'm also unsure why then Susie questioned that, but it's Susie. After all. Now, there's another question that, or maybe there's probably a question that I can answer myself on the time that the Roaring Knight made another dark fountain inside of another dark fountain. Let's remember how the Roaring Knight made a Titan. Now, did the Roaring Knight, Chris, Carol, Sans, did they all possibly know what would have happened if another dark world was made inside of another dark world? No. I don't think they did. So what did they did? Instead, they experimented. Yeah, because until the heroes actually reached there to where the Roaring Knight was, it was when the Roaring Knight actually summoned another dark fountain. The Roaring Knight could have just summoned another dark fountain right from the beginning. He could have done it. He could have actually summoned the Titan and just just go wild with it. But he didn't know. That the Roaring Knight possibly didn't know what was gonna happen. And so after they saw that a Titan was emerging, who was the one responsible for, who has to be the one responsible for this then? ball, the one who has a way, to eliminate the dark, the soul. They are experimenting. This is what I think. They are experimenting with the soul and its capabilities of being able to eliminate a dark world. And so Chris is the one going there, ready to eliminate the Titan with the soul's light. I forgot how the Titan looked. I know it was huge and had like a... Forget my drawing, alright. No, I know it's a bit ugly, but... From what I think, in here, there is an experimenting. Experimenting with the soul. Soul and its capabilities. Why are they experimenting with the capabilities? Because they want to rescue Des. They want to know how to eliminate the dark fountain in that bunker. Now, sure, you can probably say, oh, but if they already know, why don't they just do it? Why don't they just do it? Well, the idea that another world exists and that you can just summon it if you have enough determination, this is a case of with great power comes great responsibilities. And Carol knowing that she knows that there is another world that anyone can just summon with enough determination, it's a responsibility on her shoulders to keep the people safe, to keep her family safe, keep her loved ones safe from this dark world. Because, can you imagine? What if Chris runs rampant and starts summoning dark worlds for the lulz? Or anyone, actually. Anyone that holds this knowledge of being able to summon dark worlds. Especially when she has someone like Papyrus. Which, let's be honest, Papyrus was a... If Papyrus is the Roaring Knight in this case, then he probably can also summon dark fountains, and he probably has enough determination as well. And also, it's very weird that whenever we go to the skeleton's house, we just hear nothing. There's no one, even though Sans keeps saying, hey, you've won, you can hang out with my brother. And yet whenever we try, he's just not available or just is not there. So what else is there? It could be also that they're trying to keep the Papyrus's location and stuff a secret because they probably know that the soul is also conscious or self-aware. In any case, they know this little red heart, this little shit that keeps bothering Chris so much, even though they did this to themselves in some way. They know this little shit is actually self-conscious in some way. He actually takes control of Chris. He actually makes Chris do stuff. He's actually self-aware, maybe. And so, they try as much to keep things secret. Literally, Chris knows the code. And Chris stopped the soul from getting the code to the bunker. They are aware that the soul is self-conscious. Or self-aware. So if, in this case, right now, it is just Chris's responsibility to take care of the soul and just make sure that it doesn't do anything rash and does not spoil their plan, which is mainly to rescue Des from that dark world. Now, what would be the ending then, or what will be the purpose of the normal route in this case? Well, that would mean, honestly, I don't know what would the normal route ending would be, but I most likely think that yes, we probably will be rescuing Des, most likely, at the end of Dletarune. But also, there's also chapter 5 that's also making me think a little here. Giving me a little nervous here. Because we also know that Asgore is going to be the next, or his flower shop probably, is going to be the next Dark World. But here's the thing. Apparently, out of jealousy, Asgore becomes something or someone in the dark in that dark world. Out of jealousy. Most people are just gonna speculate, oh, it's just Sans. Because at this point, Sans in Dletarune is just a douchebag. It's just banging your mom and then also taking another guy's well, it's already broken up, but yeah, you know what I mean. Banging her mom and also just probably rubbing it at Asgore's face. Maybe. Maybe. In this case, out of rage and jealousy, I'm not sure still what Asgore is exactly going to do, or what is he going to turn into. But we do know he's going to be like a king, just like in Undertale, once again. I mean, Gerson already did say that the king mentioned the king, just like in the prophecy. Now, what's going to happen in Chapter 5? Most likely in Chapter 5, Asgore is most likely going to open up. Most likely he is going to open up because he actually must know something. He used to be the police chief of the town, and he was most likely responsible for for the search and investigation of Des's disappearance. He was responsible for that. And he had codes, or at least as far as we know, or at least we think, he also had codes for the bunker. So, and there is also a dark world in the bunker. Maybe Undyne does not know, but most likely Asgore does know. But maybe in some way, maybe Carol did a little threat towards Asgore, saying, "You tell anyone and watch what I will do to your family," or in this case, probably she did to Asgore, saying, "Don't tell anyone about the dark world," or you know what's gonna happen. Maybe. And so he just backs off and turns into basically a florist or a gardener. And maybe also Carol's butler, maybe, in some case. But yeah, I do believe in chapter 5. Okay, wait, let me put a chapter 5. Chapter 5. In here. Asgore comes clean, as he cannot take it anymore. He is divorced. Bro's divorced. He just wants his family back again. He is not very happy. He doesn't like what he almost turned into in this case. When he was in the Dark World, he probably is going to become a boss against Chris. He's gonna come clean in some case. But at the same time, I get the feeling there's something bad that's going to happen to Asgore. And most likely the Roaring Knight is going to get involved and probably stop him midway of him coming clean. He probably is going to say, oh, I was aware of the Dark Worlds. But most likely, he just wasn't aware of what the crystals, the black crystals were. Or are. Because he was just a police chief. He only saw the Dark World, but just advised not to go in there because it probably could be dangerous. And the only ones that know what's inside a Dark World maybe are mostly Carol, Sans, Papyrus, and Chris. Those 4 people are the only ones who know anything about the Dark World. But Asgore, he's gonna come clean saying, I always knew. Wait. Most likely what he's going to do or say is that he always knew about the Dark Worlds. But Carol left me no choice. And those damn boom. Roaring Knight appears and maybe hurts Asgore badly, leaving him almost just badly injured, and we have to drag Asgore out of the Dark World and get him to the hospital right next to Rudy, most likely, and then Rudy and Asgore become hospital roommates, and they get back to the little groovy, you know, on how they used to be in college, I think that's what in Dletarune they say, or at least Rudy mentions that both Asgore and Rudy were college best friends. Okay, so let's recapture chapter 5. Chapter 5, most likely what's gonna happen is that in a fit of rage, Asgore somehow, no, or not Asgore, someone is going to make a Dark World. But I don't believe it's going to be Asgore himself. Asgore is just going to be dragged into this. It's just going to be dragged into this. And with the black crystal, he will gain great power. He will gain great power. And with it, he believes he will be capable to just fix everything. It's actually pretty good. Has a black crystal. And we all know that the black crystals give great power. We saw this with Jevil. We saw this with Spamton. And we also saw this with, well, I guess not the Roaring Knight. The Roaring Knight was already its own thing. But we both know that the black crystal gives great power. Gets a surge of power. gets a surge of power and then starts believing that, oh, I can fix this. I can actually do this. Don't stop me, Chris. I can do this. I can fix everything, and everything will be back to normal, and we will all be a family again. And then he falls into that delusion that he has the power to fix everything. But in reality, he's just going to be a broken man, desperate to fix his family, and hopefully to return with the love of his life, which is Toriel. But then after you beat him, he realizes that if Toriel is just happy right now, then just leave her to be happy. And as long as that Chris or Asriel also love him, then he really doesn't have to do anything. What's done is done. And so after a sad moment, he comes clean, saying that he always knew about the Dark Worlds, but Carol left him no choice to stay quiet, or that he would actually do some harm to you guys. And then he will briefly mention someone, maybe. To me, he's going to try and mention the Skeleton Brothers. By him saying something like, and those boom. He probably gets heavily injured by the Roaring Knight before he's capable of finishing. To mention who else is involved in this other than just Carol. Bush and Jagger, thank you for the follow. Welcome. We're discussing what's probably going to happen in Chapter 5 and also other theories that basically are either ridiculous or just maybe pretty good thinking. A pretty good idea of what maybe is going on in Dletarune. Okay, and so Roaring Knight appears. Roaring Knight appears. And hurts our favorite king. Or not, it doesn't kill him, but just hurts him badly, and he ends up in the hospital. And he becomes then hospital roommates with Rudy. Probably either after a short period in Chapter 5 or later in Chapter 6, Asgore just becomes hospital roommates with Rudy. Possible. And then Susie. At this point, she is convinced. At this point, Susie is just convinced that just Carol is just involved in this, and there's just more to all of this than it is. Or at least that finally they have an idea of who is actually involved in all of this. Susie has the idea. That Carol is involved. Now, will Susie warn Noel, or will she try to just play it cool and basically try to just protect Noel, maybe? Maybe. And then in this case, Chris Chris in this case here is still in contact with Carol, saying, hey, they already know you are involved in this. Obviously, he's gonna be notifying Carol about how Susie knows that Carol is involved in this, and that she knows about Dark Worlds, and that she probably and to also make sure that Noelle actually doesn't say anything as well, because Carol wants to keep everything a secret, especially about the Dark Worlds. Yo, Roaring Knight, you're Papyrus, aren't you? I know you are. I'm betting double, triple that you are the Roaring Knight. I'll bet quadruple on my entire life savings that you are actually Papyrus. But anyway, alright. Let's recap. Let's recap our W Gaster. That's lame. That is so lame. Honestly, just WB Gaster is the Roaring Knight. I mean, he's kind of cool in a way, but in the same way, it's like, damn, character barely mentioned, and it's the night, or third at night. All right, let's recap our theory. All right. Okay, so plot starts as soon as Des goes missing. All right. Most likely, Chris and Des were exploring the bunker, and they found something that they shouldn't have. And so they accidentally just... How about they just accidentally come across the determination extractor, and with the determination extractor, they summoned a dark fountain. And they didn't want to do this. They just did it accidentally. And the only one who managed to get out of there was Chris. But Des was left behind. And so she is missing inside a dark world. And so Chris goes to his father, Asgore, and Asgore announces that Des is missing. And so he starts investigating. He goes into the bunker and everything, or starts investigating around the bunker, and also looking around maybe around the dark world, but he doesn't dare go in there because he believes it's too dangerous to go in there, because they don't know what's in there. And so Carol obviously being a mother, she is desperate. She wants to find her daughter, and she will do whatever it takes to find her. And so, since she's desperate and Asgore is not cooperating the way she wants him to, in order to just go in the dark world, Asgore says, no, not yet, we don't know what's in there. Could be dangerous. And so she fires Asgore. And then, in order to be able to know more about the dark worlds, and to be able to explore them, she assigns the two skeleton brothers. Because, again, Sans and Papyrus move into the town. Just out of nowhere, right? And so what does Carol do? Hello, so you're theorizing, huh? I have quite a theory. Alright. You can share your theory after I'm done summarizing first. Alright, so Carol first assigns, and then Sans and Papyrus, both of them. Sans and Papyrus are new to the town, and so they want to meet, Sans specifically wants to meet new people, even though Papyrus is still not seen anywhere. Now, why would Carol assign the two skeleton brothers? Well, obviously because we all know Sans is a scientist. In Undertale, he has a quantum physics book, so he's quite smart and intelligent, but he's also fucking lazy. And so, who can then explore the dark worlds then? Who else? Papyrus, of course. Papyrus in this case is the one who's extremely tough and also very athletic. He's one of the strongest monsters as well. Even in Undertale, he's freaking tough. According to Undyne herself in Undertale, that Papyrus is tough but he's just a gentle giant. He's held back. Now then, Chris, in this case, also wants to get involved because he feels responsible for this. And he tells Carol in secret, and Carol agrees. Okay, fine, you can join. And now, but then, the thing is, where is Chris's soul actually then? Because obviously, the soul we have right now in Dletarune, it doesn't belong to Chris. We know that soul was summoned somehow. So where did it come from then? Where did the soul come from? And then where is Chris's actual soul? Let me tell you then. Most likely, the soul, or no, the dark fountain that is at the school where Ralsei is, that's where Chris's soul is. And the other dark fountain that is in the bunker, it's a dark fountain made with determination from the determination extractor, because that's what the bunker right there is hiding. It's just another lab. Can I start copy pasting my theory here in the meantime? Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Okay, so they all go into the bunker. They extract determination. This time from Chris's soul, or at least part of Chris's soul. They extract determination, and they put that part of a determination in Chris's school, making another dark fountain. Meanwhile, what about the other half of the other determination? Well, we'll use that other half in order to create an artificial soul just for Chris, so he can actually stay alive. Because we all know also that Chris can't stay alive without the soul, or can't do much anything without the soul. Like, sure, Chris is strong. He's probably capable. He throws hotkeys accurately at us as when we were a soul, so he's probably capable. But at the same time, he will run out of time at some point, and he can't do anything without the soul. And so they use this artificial soul in order to actually go and explore the Dark World. And so, both Chris and Papyrus are working together in secret in order to go into Dark World and explore, and also do studies. Sans is the one studying the Dark Worlds. Chris and Papyrus, or the Roaring Knight, are the ones that actually exploring them physically. You forget Chris Slash, which he only uses against Spamton Neo. Yeah, but he only uses that in the Weird Route, doesn't he? At least I believe he only uses that in Weird Route. Okay, so now then, here comes chapter 4. The part when they actually... Yeah, but because he's alone. Oh yeah, that too. Now, let's go to chapter 4, when they actually summon a Titan. Now, is this the first time they actually knew this was going to happen? Of course not. They're experimenting with the Dark Worlds. Sans wants to also know what happens if you summon a Dark Fountain inside of a Dark World. And so they did it. But they also know that the soul is the key to eliminating these dark fountains. And so they are hoping, at least, that the soul is capable of defeating whatever they summoned, which was this fountain. They have no idea what they have just done, and so they are desperate. So Chris, in this desperate moment, uses his soul to actually stop the Titan and just eliminate both fountains. And so, realizing this, Carol, right now, with the knowledge of Dark Worlds and what they're capable of, this is a moment of, with great power comes great responsibilities. With all of this knowledge, Carol is now has responsibility on her shoulders to keep this a secret and to not cause panic in town. And also, there's also the soul. The soul is self-aware. We are the soul. We know we are controlling Chris, and we know that we can basically take any route that we want. But Chris, Carol, Sans, and Papyrus don't know this. They don't know what the soul wants and what they're capable of or what they want to do. They don't know what they want. And so, Chris is more docile towards us when we're just running around or just trolling him a little bit or being a little mischievous. Sure, he just throws a hockey at us. He throws throws us a bottle at our faces and throws us in a cage. But when we actually start messing with Chris's loved ones, like Noel, one of his childhood friends, Chris loses it. He goes ballistic. He throws us in a bin, beats the shit out of us until the bin is just completely deformed. Even though he's just hurting himself, but he gets mad, really mad, because he does not want anyone to be harmed in here. Oh yeah, and also in here, I also believe that with the Titan, when they summon the Titan, they are still experimenting with the soul and its capabilities. Not only what they want, but what it is also capable. And now, we go into chapter 5. Now, in chapter 5, I'm still kind of in the question on how they start off, how they summon the Dark Fountain and everything. But we also know that Asgore has a black crystal, and we also know that those black crystals give a lot of power. We saw this from Jevil and also Spamton. These black crystals give a lot of power, and so Asgore will be one of the bosses that won't be a secret boss, but it will be an actual boss with a surge of power here. He also freaks out in chapter 4 as Susie and Noel discover the soul, snatching it from Susie's hands, locking himself in the kitchen as well as it back in. Wait, that was actually canon? That was actually in the game? It was not an animation. Wait. I kind of think I know what you're talking about, Super Foxer. It was a chapter 4 secret. Wait, chapter 4 Deltarune secret. Oh yeah, it was Dletarune not moving. Oh, where is it? Where is it? It was a video saying what happens in chapter 4 if I just don't oh, here it is. Not moving. Is it this one? Are you sure this is real? I don't think this is real. Because the comments already saw it in the comments saying that people are, yeah, surprisingly well made. The fact that so many people think this is real already proof it's good. It's not real, see the cutscene myself. I think it plays because I completed Snowgrave. Yeah, no, I actually also speculated, like, damn. I would... Should I actually go into the game and test this myself? Reach up to this point and just not move at all. Should I just do it myself and see if it's true or not? I mean, it is in the beginning. It is at the beginning, though. Wanna check my theory? Oh yeah, sure. Let me see. Okay, let's see, Super Foxer's, theory here. Alright, let's see. Alright. Chris and the party don't actually need the human soul to live. The reason they may go down when the soul gets hit May not be because they are linked to it, maybe it means how they take the attack protecting the soul. And once there's a hit, that will leave the party at 0 HP. It will be a hit that they won't be able to protect, and will destroy the soul. This is easily provable with all the times Chris simply rips the soul out of him and smacks it around. For example, in Snowgrave Chapter 4, Chris takes out the soul, smacks it around, but only gets disoriented once the soul gets back in him. Not because he's actually damaged, rather than the soul is the one disoriented, which transmits over to Chris's body. In combat, not only from the party actually dies, just get downed and need time to recover by themselves. The only exception so far is the night fight, but because he induces them in a swoon state, which according to my translator is fainted, which would make sense, why they don't recover unless one uses revive. And also because the knight basically does so much damage that it basically leaves the party at negative 999, that it's almost impossible for them to revive at that point. Or at least to recover health, you would actually need to do a full revive. That's another thing as well. I know Chris is considered downed in that fight, but it's chapter 4, it's implied he works with the knight, and even more if you beat the knight, you see how they don't attack each other. So for him, I'd say that it's Chris not getting back up because he doesn't want to. But fights when he's up to for two main reasons. You're actually controlling him, he's fighting for Susie and Ralsei, which are his friends. TLDR, the soul isn't inherently linked to Chris or the party, instead they protect it during battle. When they reach 0 HP, it's not because they die, but because they can no longer shield the soul, which is then destroyed. But are they aware of Chris's soul? Is the question. Are they actually like aware? Like is this something? Oh no, wait a minute, let me see. Dletarune. Do enemies focus on a party member, or does the attack hit everyone? In Dletarune, enemies can focus their attacks on a specific party member, and they can also use the attack that hit everyone in the party. The game mechanics determine whether it can attack a target, a single character, or the entire party. They are. Ralsei says is that they could use it to purify the soul, and then after doing so, Susie says something like, so that was your soul or something? Wait, she does? Let me see. Titan. Fight. I need to see this. It's during the Titan fight, right? That she says that. She says that after the fight. Oh yeah, here it is. What's the deal with that red heart thing? Is that your... Wait a second, the old man! Or maybe she says it way after. Maybe she says it way after. Chapter 4. After Titan. Oh, that was the one you meant? Okay, so then she wasn't. Yeah, no, after the Titan fight, she acknowledges the existence of the soul. I thought it was something like in chapter 1 or chapter 2 that she was saying that like in the tutorial, or at least Ralsei teaching her something about about the soul. Now, I'm sure Ralsei does know. And is aware of the soul and the player and everything. I'm sure Ralsei is. Zuzi, I don't think she's aware of it until like after the Titan fight, or during the Titan fight, she actually acknowledges it because she actually sees it physically. But anyway, summarizing chapter 5. I still don't know how the, obviously nobody knows, but no, I don't have an idea on how the next Dark Fountain summons, but we probably have an idea that it's probably going to be in Asgore's flower shop. Because we also know that Asgore has a black crystal, and those give a lot of power. And then also through ambition. Or at least from wanting to be free. Jevil and Spamton wanted to be free. And when they wanted freedom, they realized that it was meaningless. And so, in this case, Asgore wants to use the black crystal because he believes he can fix this. He can fix everything. He can fix the Dark World issue. He can find Des. He can probably fix his relationship and family. He is desperate, and he uses the black crystal out of desperation for power in order to fix things. He's just a broken man who is just desperate to be helpful and to actually be there for his loved ones. But after you beat him, he realizes that, oh, my kids actually love me. Chris, Asriel actually care about me. Maybe Toriel actually does care about him. Maybe not, but most likely she does. She's just not that comfortable around him. And then after he realizes that he doesn't need to try, he needs to stop trying too much and just enjoy his life, he decides to come clean, saying that he always knew about the Dark Worlds, but Carol left them no choice. As in to like, she just decided to get him fired and to speak to no one about this or consequences will happen. And then he almost comes clean also about the Skeleton Brothers, saying, but those skeletons, and he goes, and those and that's where the Roaring Knight appears, injures the Asgore heavily, leaving him in very dire need, and most likely leaves him into the hospital, becoming roommates with Rudy, most likely in the hospital as well. And since now Susie is also aware, and also has the knowledge that probably that Carol is involved in all of this, and that she knows about the Dark Worlds, and that she's keeping a secret. And then, at the end of the chapter, we will see Chris, like, alarming Carol that they know. Like, some people know, and that Asgore spoke, or said something to Susie. We need to keep an eye on her. And from there, chapter 5 ends. And then chapter 6 and 7 will be probably the most traumatic, and probably Chris will be used up. Most likely, he probably will be used up. He is being used. He is being used completely. I get the feeling that Chris, in this case, in normal route, he's going to be used up. He's going to be used somehow. And not in a good way. But yeah, I believe at the end of the chapter 5, Susie now knows that Carol is involved. And she's probably the only one who just found out. And Chris alerts Carol about it. And also then Carol alerts Papyrus about to be more careful around the team and just play it safe somehow. But Ralsei is the sacrifice. Why would Ralsei be the sacrifice? If the Shadow Mantle is Aram, I think it'll double cross the party. Eram? Who's Eram? Is that an acronym? Or is it an actual name? The guy you fight to get the Shadow Mantle. Oh. The old man said so? Really? He said that the prince will sacrifice? Wait, let me see. Dletarune. Gerson. Story. Chapters. The March of the Dark King, City of Shining, the Isles of Northern Light, the Trials of the Holy Hammer, and the Field of Pink and Gold. The implication is that the story stops at chapter 5, mirroring a potential ending point for Dletarune itself. Wait a minute. Let me see the stories again. Do they say here completely? Let's read YouTube. Dletarune Gerson story. Do they say it here?
However, the story never officially ended. You can tell Susie of an old tale based on the prophecy that she's heard so much about. The tale resembles the journey that
Chapter
the
3, Chapter 4, Trials of the Holy, and Chapter 5, Field of Pink and Gold. It was a vast garden, is charred in an inferno of jealousy. So yeah, most likely next chapter is just going to be Asgore because the prophecy already showed Asgore and the it already showed Asgore in the prophecy, so it most likely is going to be him. But yeah, for now, this is what we got for chapter 5 at least. And yeah, most likely also chapter 5 and in the Flower Dark World. The Roaring Knight is going to appear more times and he's actually this time going to try and chase us more often. Most likely it's going to. But yeah, I believe this is my biggest theory, honestly. This is what I firmly believe on what Dletarune is about. It's about secrets, it's about responsibility, it's about also being used up. But do I truly believe Papyrus is the Roaring Knight? It's a maybe. It's mixed. I think it's either Papyrus or Rudy, whichever of the two. But I still believe more firmly that it's Papyrus, mostly because he has not been showed in the game at all yet for 4 chapters. And that he is the only one capable of carrying Undyne into the bunker. Plus also, again, the Roaring Knight's build, it looks so obvious too. The upper armor, the very thin waist that is literally skeleton, the little hips, the hip armor, also. Literally like Papyrus's, and the Roaring Knight is literally tall as hell. Like 2 or 3 feet taller than Chris is. Extremely tall. And also the holes in the hands, which WD Gaster also has. And WD Gaster was supposedly also a skeleton. So why can't that just be Papyrus also then in his Dark World version? And hey, this could also the horns that Toby Fox has on the Roaring Knight, that can be a troll as well. We all know how much of a troll also sometimes Toby Fox is. He'll probably put Papyrus with sticks, with tape maybe, onto his head to make it seem like it's a deer. Or maybe the horns on the Roaring Knight is basically just part of the armor of the helmet. I mean, we've seen in Undertale, we have seen the knights have horns, literally. So this should not be any different as well. At least I think it shouldn't be any different. But the knights in Undertale do have horns, and different kinds of horns, even small wings. At least the 3 knights that we have seen in Undertale do have those. And also Undyne had one in Undertale. She had like a single horn sticking out, kinda. So it's, I believe that the antlers or horns are basically just part of the helmet. Do I believe it's Papyrus? Most likely it is. And after that, most likely Rudy. Mostly because of how the Roaring Knight acts. Very smug, very confident, you know. And also mocks Susie a lot, which is either a very Carol or Rudy thing to do, but mostly Rudy. Rudy would beat the Rudy already said that he would actually beat Susie's ass if she actually touched Noelle in any way. Even if he's bedridden. So yeah. Honestly. So yeah, that's my theory right now. So that's my theory. That basically Des is missing. Carol wants to save her. Asgore tried to save her, investigate, but he couldn't out of fear of what is inside the Dark World. Carol gets tired of Asgore being a little pussy and just decides to fire him and decide to study and explore the Dark Worlds themselves, and requests the Skeleton Brothers to do it. And also Chris, because Chris feels responsible for the disappearance of Des. And so they go back into the bunker, they explore the Dark World, they find the Determination Extractor that is probably inside, hidden in the bunker. And they use Chris's soul to extract some determination, leaving half and half. Meaning one half to summon a dark fountain in the school, and then the other half to make another soul, or at least an artificial soul kinda, for Chris, in order for him to survive. Yeah, because again, Chris cannot survive without his soul. But they are also aware that the soul itself is self-aware, because we are controlling it, we're controlling Chris, and we are deciding what Chris should do. And they're hoping that the soul actually, you know, works with them. And so they also keep experimenting the soul's capabilities and everything. That's all what they're doing. And because also Carol feels responsible of the knowledge of dark worlds, she doesn't want the town to panic. And she just feels a lot of responsibility on her shoulders. She's basically very scared for things to just spread, which is why she tries her best to keep Susie out of this as much as possible as well. So yeah, that's my theory for now on Dletarune. I want to try to also keep things not too complicated as well, because Undertale's story was also pretty simple as well. So I'm hoping that also Dletarune ends up being a simpler story than we think as well. Because either way, we know Toby Fox will probably think of something better, or will come up with something better. He already did with Undertale, so we have faith in him, at least in that regard. Now, this theory that I made is specifically normal route, by the way. I have no idea anything about weird route yet. All I know about weird route is that we manipulate Noelle a lot. And from there, instead of Chris, it is Noelle getting used up. That's all I know in weird route. So all of this is basically just normal route for now. It's always gone over my head with this shit, but I'll give you props if this is true. What if the story comes out being actually pretty simple but enjoyable? Yeah, I also get the feeling it's going to be mostly just like that. It's going to be simple and simply just enjoyable. And it's going to be enjoyable because we basically just love the characters in it. The characters just make the story even better. They're charming. Because a story does not need to be too complicated or complex, you know? All this stuff about, oh, multiverses, oh, time traveling, oh, characters that can rip the universes in half. No, you don't need that shit, dude. Just make stuff simple. And just make characters that are actually good and charming. That's all you need in a story. Actual good characters. It can be the dumbest story you can craft, but the characters are just aura farming, or just charming as a whole, again. So yeah, this is my theory. Is this your first stream of the week? Yes, it is. Tomorrow I'm streaming again. Yes. But yeah, again, this is my theory. Simple story, just like Undertale's, and easy to understand on what is actually going on. We're living in the multiverse decade. You have to accept that everything will have a multiverse. Yeah, well, I don't want a multiverse. I don't want my lore to have a multiverse as well. You fuck. I mean, my lore does kinda have a multiverse, but it's not like... It's not a multiverse like Marvel or DC. Just say like a different world, different dimension or something like that. Also, how's the week going so far? It's going fine. I've been craving. So weird route is evil. What route do we play? Right now, the route I took was normal route. It's just normal route. It's just how the story will just usually go. Weird route or Snowgrave route is just basically manipulating Chris's friend, childhood friend, in a way. When you have time on board, check out the Decades of Grief by Occultation. I will. But yeah, I've been craving to do this little theory. I was with a co-worker who also loves Dletarune, and then a video popped up about Papyrus being the Roaring Knight, And then after thinking about it, without watching the video, I started thinking about it like, damn. Now that I think about it, Papyrus might actually be then. Might actually then be the Roaring Knight then. It makes sense. He's strong enough to drag Undyne. He's also... his appearance matches pretty well with the Roaring Knight. Especially on the armor and the very thin build. Craving Watsaki una combinación china. What do you mean combinación china? ¿Es arroz chino? No tengo ganas de arroz chino. But yeah. As soon as I was putting the pieces together, putting Papyrus into this, it started kind of making sense in some way. And I started thinking, damn, but what about Sans? Sans should be important here some way. Somehow, right? Like, they can't just... They're not... Toby is not gonna put Sans there and just put him as a joke character or gag character. It just says, haha, I banged your mom. No. I don't think Sans is just there for the lols, alright? Motherfucker's a scientist. A secret scientist. I believe I hopefully believe Toby Fox has something a lot more going on in the Dletarune story. But also simple at the same time. So yeah, I'll try and see. Let me see if I can go to Twitter and maybe should I add Toby Fox? Let me see. Go to... I want to play Genocide Road, but just to beat Sans, as to be fair. Honestly fair. Alright, let's see. Oh, you aren't verified yet. Shut the fuck up. How do I get verified? Oh, fuck that. I am paying for blue. Fuck that shit. Okay, let me see. Let me go over here. If you get to do that again, I'll be so happy. Wait, do what again? Put the YouTube live. Let me see, add Toby Fox. Rate my Dletarune theory here at YouTube. I don't think he has the patience to actually go through all this, dude. But we can try. We could try. Rate my Dletarune theory. Okay, does it go? Does it actually go? Wait, let me see. Post. Where's my post? Where's my post? Posts. Blocked speedrun. Nah, come on. Where's my post? Does it take a long time? I should not be at home on Twitter. That is very dangerous. Oh yeah, I haven't followed him either. Yeah, what happened to my post? What happened to my post? It didn't. Did I press post? I did press post, right? I did. Maybe it takes some time? Let me check my phone. Profile. Yeah, it's not there. What the fuck? What if I message him? Like legit. Let me see. W Fox. Wait, can I send messages to him? I can't. Damn, I can't. I can't send messages to him. Get verified like Toby Fox to stand out and get boosted. I swear to God. Yeah, what the fuck is my post? Fuck. Where's my post? My brother in Christ. Let me post it again. Wait, is it in drafts? No, it's not in drafts. Unsent posts. That followed by is crazy. Followed by? Followed by. Wait. What do you mean followed by? Followed by Derp Kraken, the ultimate boy chibi, VTuber, and others you follow. On Toby's page. It's not that crazy. At least I don't think it's that crazy. Nah, come on. Show my post. Where the fuck is my post? Did they actually delete it? Or do I just can't post because I'm not verified? Man. They just nerf everyone who just doesn't have blue. Yeah, I don't know what happened to my post here. Let me post it again, see. Toby Fox. What should I say? Is the night papyrus? Where is actually? Break my theory. Okay, everyone can reply. Enhance your post with grok. What do you mean enhance my post? No, it's the night. Actually, papyrus. Grok, is this true? Grok, is this true? Oh, let's post it again, see. Oh, wait. Okay, so I did post. But it's not shown here. Replies? Oh, it's in the replies. Okay, let me delete this one then. Isn't that actually papyrus? Rate my theory. Okay, there we go. Like put a croc, is this true? Oh wait, it's putting it actually, wait. It's actually explain- Grok is actually explaining here. Theorizes that the papyrus from Undertale might be the knight in Dletarune. Hypnotized supported by Sodal and it includes papyrus' classic common in Undertale. Oh my god, it actually goes with web pages too. This theory aligns with fan speculation of platforms like Tumblr, where it analyzes like the Knight Papyrus theory, highlight Papyrus' potential role, though no peer-reviewed studies exist on video game lore. Instead, community-driven evidence from game dialogue and developer interviews fuel the debate. Damn. And Grok just goes, and Ena Hamasaki here is trying to expand the lore behind behind the oh my god. Being recognized by Grok is an actual honor, damn. Do Puerto Ricans count as I need to actually ask that. I want to actually ask that. Okay, wait, I want to actually ask that. Let me move myself. Do Puerto Ricans count as pogs? What the fuck is pogs? It seems like your question might be a playful or curious follow-up, but the unrelated web result about Pog that appeared in the context of the X post. Fat ass white fat ass white girl, a slang from the early 2000s. Describing a white woman with notably curvy, large backside, where fat is a positive slang term meaning attractive or excellent. Puerto Ricans as an ethnic group have a diverse genetic and cultural heritage, primarily descending from indigenous Taíno. Okay, so... Okay, wait, let me see. Percentage of Puerto Rican heritage in different ethnicities. Determine the exact percent of Puerto Rican heritage within different ethnicities. I am 60 to 65% European, 20 to 25% African. I can say 25% of the N-word. I see. And 10 to 15% indigenous. But 60% of Puerto Ricans actually carry Taíno mitochondrial DNA. And the rest of other ethnicities is less than 5%, with most of it are French, Corsican, and other European or Asian groups. My brother in Christ. So not only we have whole European, we have African, we have indigenous, and we also probably have Asian groups. Spanish counts as white. Not necessarily. Some Spanish are tan. Alright? Some Spanish are tan. Don't you try calling all of them white? What the fuck are you doing? I'm sure I'm sure that a lot of people from Spain specifically can be also tanned. But anyway, I'm gonna leave the stream for now. It was actually very fun to do this. Like, surprisingly. It was actually very fun to do all this theorizing. I'll hopefully maybe Toby responds, maybe. Hopefully. He most likely won't, obviously because I'm a nobody, but hey, if he does, GGW. But anyways, I'll see you guys tomorrow. It was a nice Jap stream. Funny woman. Yapping for what? Almost 2.5 hours of Dletarune theories. Goddamn. It's over? No, yeah, I'm sorry. I have work tomorrow. It's already 10 and I need to wake up at 5. So yes, I do have to go to sleep. Kinda. Alright. I'll see you guys tomorrow, and tomorrow we'll play all night. Alright? We'll play all night. Yay, have a good night everyone. As always, thank you for sticking by, for those that did. And I'll see you all tomorrow. I'll see you all tomorrow. If you'll have fun. Buenas noches. Play rivals with me, yo. Okay, let me see. Okay, you know what? Tomorrow, I'll play rivals. Alright? Tomorrow we can play rivals. I'll also drink a bit. Because I want to. Wait, did I? Okay, yeah, no. Yeah, for a moment I thought I uninstalled them all rivals, but no, okay, I didn't. Okay, so tomorrow we go for some more rivals. And come back to it for a bit. Alright? Alright guys, I'll see you guys tomorrow then. Buenas noches a todos. And I'll see you tomorrow. Hopefully we'll have fun. Bye-bye. Medalla or corona? Ninguna de esa. Blech. I go for victory beer. Sour Monkey victory beer. Look those up. They're pretty good. Anyways, bye-byes.